Okay, thank you again for your patience. Again, this is Brian Donahue. I'm president of DMI, and I am talking to you from Hingham, Massachusetts. So thank you for participating in our webinar today. And today's topic is, do you have a business or just a high-paying job? And what is the difference? And I'm fortunate to be joined by one of DMI's top consultants here, who's actually a financial advisor full-time, Fred Boudiette. And Fred is going to talk and share with you why he's coined the phrase, do you own a business or just a high-paying job, and talk to you about what the difference is. But first, a little bit about me. As I mentioned to you just a moment ago, I'm the president and owner here of DMI. We're a national wholesaler of fixed products, insurance, and annuities. And we've been operating throughout the country for over 25 years. So some of you may know us, some of you may be new to us, but as the call unfolds and as you get to know us better, you'll learn more about the value add we bring to financial advisors beyond great products all around the country. And one of those value add features and benefits of working with DMI is we partnered with a number of prolific advisors around the country who share with us and you folks best practices around how to build a business and create a business. So Fred Boudiette's bio is up there, but Fred, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself and how you got into the business, and then we'll get into the content of today's presentation.
Okay, well, I came into the financial arena actually back in 1969 when just as soon as I got back from Vietnam, I signed on with a mutual fund company. And they had an international division, and I asked for an assignment there, and I was posted in Manila, in the Philippines, where I spent a dozen years before coming back to the United States. I only spent 2 years with the mutual fund company. I had developed a core group of clients that were actually American educators that were hired by the U.S. military to run the schools for the kids of military families that were posted overseas. And so after 2 years, I left and went into business on my own and began doing a series of real estate ventures that worked out quite well. Came back to the States in 1981, still maintained my relationships with my clients, spent a lot of time developing the real estate ventures that we were involved in. But by the mid-90s, both myself and my clients had done quite well. We were getting older. Our zest for speculative growth and accumulation real estate ventures was waning a bit. And in general, we were more interested in protecting what we had accumulated. So I decided to make a career change with a focus on preservation and distribution of assets as opposed to growth and accumulation. And because of an earlier relationship, I had decided to focus on the needs of retirees or soon-to-be retirees, and had chosen fixed annuities as my primary product because of their safety and security. So that's what brought me into the business. As you can see from what's on the screen, I came into when I went that route. I came into a market where I hadn't lived for 25 years. I had no warm market at all. I had to start from scratch, but built the business on systems that made a little money in the first year, but by the 5th year, was able to break that $1 million mark in commissions, which was I felt a major accomplishment. It was one of my primary goals.
So that's great, Fred. Thank you. And I think the takeaway for a lot of you on the call today is whether you're starting out new in this business or every year you feel like you're starting out new in the business. A lot of advisors, even after they've been in the business 25 or 30 years, every January 1st, it's like starting over. I think what we're going to share with you today will help you with a lot of that. And Fred's been able to overcome that himself. So Let me tell you a little bit about why we're doing this. First of all, DMI, as I mentioned earlier, we're a national wholesaler of fixed products, annuities, and life insurance. But we want to, and we do, provide more than just product, service, great commissions, case design, and that type of thing, traditional wholesaling. We also are very big into marketing and providing marketing value-added services to entrepreneurs and self-employed people. In other words, how do we get you in front of more people in more favorable conditions on a regular basis? So we've got a whole marketing team that does that here at DMI, from websites to digital marketing to social media, email marketing, websites, workshops, and seminars. The list goes on and on. This is one of the value add, which is bringing best practices of top advisors to our agents and advisors who do business with us, and some of the materials that they've created over the years, and we'll talk about that in a little bit more as the webinar goes along. So, Fred, maybe tell the audience why you're doing this, because you're obviously a very successful advisor in your own right.
Well, I think it's like anything else. You know, you spend as much time, effort, energy developing marketing systems. There's a certain satisfaction from being able to share those with other people and seeing them, you know, add considerably to their success factor as a result of, you know, something that you put together. But of course, the other reason too is, let's be realistic, you pay me.
Okay. Yes, we do pay you, and we're getting a good value and a lot for our investment, I can say that. So Fred's been a tremendous ambassador and consultant for DMI for a few years here, and he's helped a lot of advisors elevate their practices to new levels. So let's get into today's topic. Fred, what do you mean when you say, do you own a business or do you just have a high-paying job? Maybe you could explain what that means and how that's impacted your business.
Well, I think the simplest way to state it is that a true business can provide income when you're not working it yourself, whereas a job is only going to provide income when you're working. Other aspects that come into play, something that I learned from a book called The E-Myth that I fortunately read right around the time I was making this transition, and got a lot of great ideas. But a true business has to be built on systems as opposed to personality. And those systems have to be easily operated by ordinary people. Systems that drive your practice can only be operated by extraordinary people, then you're simply going to be a trainer for an entrepreneur who's eventually going to leave you to start their own practice. And that's not because they're bad people, it's because of the way they're built. I find that we also have to be willing to invest some capital in our business in addition to just our time and effort in order to build it properly. So, you know, I think those are the key things. And one of the things that I learned from that book, The E-Myth, was one of the first things that he emphasized was defining specifically how you want your business to look when you're finished developing it, so that you've got that image in front of you as you know, you're putting your business and the systems that drive it together.
And I think what you're saying here, Fred, is when it comes to meeting the client and doing what you do well, which is advising and consulting the client on retirement income and asset preservation and those types of things, you haven't stopped doing that. It's everything around you, the prospecting and the marketing and the administration, all of those parts of your business. You've created systems and hired people to do all that, so that you're just seeing clients who are ready to buy on a regular basis. So, as an example, if you don't mind me sharing this with the crowd, this month you'll do over $3 million of annuity premium, as we spoke about before the call, and you didn't wake up on January 1st with nobody to see. You had a line of people that you were going to see this month who were at some stage ready to buy. So can maybe expand on what you mean by ordinary people and what the infrastructure you've built around having a business versus a high-paying job?
Yeah. I would have to assume that everybody on this call knows how to sell. So I don't think our problem. I don't think our problem is what do you do when you got a qualified prospect sitting in front of you. The issue that's going to make the difference between a successful business and the one that's not successful is going to be how do you get a large number of qualified prospects to want to come in and see you, or to want you to go see them. However, we keep all our appointments in our office, but other people see people in their homes. So either way works. But it's the systems that drive people to you. In the beginning, when I came back to Worcester, Massachusetts, after not being here for 25 years, and again with no warm market at all, basically what I did is I designed a series of newspaper ads, ran them in the local newspaper. Basically, the ads they'd hit a hot button for a retiree or somebody close to being retired, and I would offer a free report. So these were reports that, each and every one of them I had written myself. And so we'd send them a free report with a reply form where they could let us know whether or not they wanted some additional information. And I think, that's a discussion for another day, but there was a very specific reason for doing it that way as opposed to send back the reply form if you want more information. So from that, we generated, some clients and wrote some business. But the next step was to build a system that would drive more people to us outside of just people responding to the ads we put in the newspaper. And that was a referral introduction system that we put together. And the details of that, of course, can be a discussion for another day as well. But you hear people, talk about referrals. I don't know too many people in our business that get them. We get them. We get qualified referrals, usually on average about 3 of them, about 70% from about 70% of our clients. And we do it. We use the certificate or policy delivery appointment as the venue for that, and there's a whole staging, table setting scenario that leads right into that we don't have time to cover in this call.
Okay, so Fred, what you're talking about here is really a concept that's called inbound marketing that really you embraced back in the 90s before technology kind of took over the concept of inbound marketing. And what you did was, through information and education, you were able to create a continuous stream of qualified people who are ready to buy, so that you didn't have to agitate and cold call people. You created a whole stream of people who wanted to see you and were ready to see you and wanted to hear what you had, because they had been dripped on over time with education and information, traditionally through snail mail. Go ahead.
One of the first rules when I decided to come into this business was I never ever wanted to be in a situation where I called anybody that hadn't asked me to contact them. So everything that we do is built around that concept.
So when somebody comes to see you, let's talk about this month, January, most of these people are understanding why they're seeing you, and they're calling you for an appointment. Is that correct, most of them?
Most of them are indicating, of course, if they come through our Social Security workshops, they've indicated that they want an appointment, right?
Sure.
If they're coming through our referral track, they've sent us back a reply form asking us to call them for some additional information. We don't ask them. We never ask anybody to call for an appointment. I've seen some really, really good ad copy just wasted using that type of approach. So we use more of a baby step approach. So they send back a reply form and say, yeah, I'd like you to call me for some additional information. And it's that call that leads to the appointment nearly 100% of the time, not quite 100%. Let's say at a bare minimum, 70% of the time, those calls result in an appointment.
So you've got referral systems and you've got drip systems. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And maybe you could talk a little bit more about the referral systems and how that kind of flows from beginning to end real quick at a high level.
Yeah, well, when we get the referral at the certificate delivery, I usually have the client sign an introductory letter that we've written. We have a 3-step process. We'll send out a copy of our latest newsletter with just a sticky on it that will say, so-and-so asked me to introduce myself to you, thought you might like to see a copy of our last newsletter. And that's it. And then, I'm sorry, first the introductory letter goes out, then a week later, the copy of the newsletter, and then the third step is we have what we call the referral pack, which is our referral letter, cover letter, a brochure that I wrote and continue editing from time to time. We call it the nest egg brochure that explains it's our mission statement, it's our concept on retirement income planning, and it's a dozen or more case studies that people can relate to, and testimonials and that sort of thing. So they're very well preconditioned.
Yep.
Before they come in.
And we're going to talk about all this at the end of the call in the next steps section, but because Fred is a consultant with DMI, he's been willing to share with certain select qualified advisors all of his content and processes and systems. DMI Marketing here has migrated a lot of his stuff to the internet, so it's easy for an advisor to immediately connect in and plug and play into a lot of Fred's systems and processes. So today's purpose is really just to introduce you to Fred and some of his processes. Can you expand a little bit more on your drip systems, Fred, and how you've developed those over the years as well?
Yeah, well, there's basically 2 ways that we drip. The primary way is we have a newsletter, but that was an area I struggled with for a number of years, quite frankly, because I look at it, when you look at marketing, there's image projection marketing and there's direct response marketing. Newsletters that I've seen have always been image projection, and I was somewhat reluctant to spend the time and money to do that, and you don't really get anything back immediately. Somewhere along the line, we were able to figure out how to do a newsletter that actually is a direct response marketing approach as well. Too lengthy to get into now, but the bottom line is our newsletters get us a number of people every time we send them out to ask us for a free report, which ultimately leads to a number of appointments and new business. So the newsletter is one approach. The other way that we drip is when there's topics of interest. For example, the most recent Social Security changes. We can do either an email blast or a direct mail, just informing people. Basically, what the drip system is all about is staying at the top of people's consciousness so that when certain events happen in their life or they're ready to look for information, you're there instead of them going to somebody else. That's what the whole drip mechanism is all about.
Yep. And so when a life event happens, because you've been dripping on them over some period of time, leaving a job, retiring, death in the family, divorce, the loss of a loved one, something like that, some life event, they're thinking of you and calling you, or reaching out to you.
And interestingly enough, a byproduct of that, which we didn't envision in the beginning, was because we're dripping on our clients as well. We've had years. I remember one year in particular when I went back and looked at the business that we had written. We had done 65% of our new business with existing clients. And a lot of that money was money that we didn't know about, and probably the client didn't know, because a life-changing event had occurred since we had last done business with them. But that was a staggering statistic to me, and it opened my eyes to the fact that, hey, maybe we're leaving an awful lot of money on the table if we, if we don't maintain the relationships and continuously stay at the top of the consciousness of our existing clients as well.
And Fred, how much on average a year would you say your new business comes from referrals?
Well, it was nearly all, clients. Our new business came from existing clients and from referrals. That was 100% of it between the two of it. Referrals being, probably closer to 75% of that in most years. But more recently, we're just about half and half now with new business coming from referrals and half coming from the Social Security workshops. That was a real bonanza for us. We've added well over $500,000 a year. And actually, it looks like it's a lot more. I haven't tabulated it for a while, but it looks like that figure, the real figure is much higher than that, coming to us just from the Social Security workshops.
And on a future seminar, we'll be talking about how Fred does his workshops and seminars and how they may differ from the ones you might be doing on the phone, or maybe you can learn some of his unique strategies and techniques he uses to drive higher quality appointments from those seminars. Fred, I think one thing people might be thinking or saying to themselves is, this may work for you, but it doesn't sound like it would be easy for me. Is this transferable, a lot of this stuff, or does it take many years?
No, it's totally see, as we developed the systems, the whole idea was they had to be able to be used by ordinary people.
Okay.
Because if you really have a business, you got something that's either saleable or that's going to continue to generate income for you when you're not working, when you don't want to work anymore, or you're unable to work anymore. Anything that we've done is easily transferable. The systems, the marketing materials that support it, the telephone scripts, everything that we do was designed so that it's easily transferable.
Great. And I think that's what we want to wrap up today, folks. I hope you got a very high-level understanding of Fred and his business and what makes him unique and so successful. But the next step, or the takeaway, is all of his systems, marketing materials, brochures, free reports, phone scripts, referral processes, drip systems, all of that has been packaged and is available to certain select advisors who choose to do business with DMI. So it's proven, tested, and successful materials and concepts and strategies. So the next step would be to contact one of these three folks, including myself, on the screen here. about how you could possibly become involved with some of Fred's programs and strategies. Fred, I want to thank you very much for taking time out of your...
Brian, let me add this before we close it up.
Absolutely.
I think this is probably a key element. If I've been able to access these systems without all of the time, the effort, the focus, the concentration, and the capital that I had to invest to develop them, I can assure you I would have produced an awful lot more income in a much shorter period of time.
That certainly makes sense, Fred. When I've seen everything that you've got and created, it must have taken a lot of time and energy and money. So thanks for your time, Fred. I know you've had a huge month and a busy month, and you've got to get back to probably signing off a bunch of apps and commission checks. So thank you for your time. Thank you, everybody, for attending the call. Fred will be on another webinar with us next week on a timely topic that all of you will want to hear about how Fred does it. And again, the next steps would be call or email one of us on the screen there. So again, I hope everybody has a nice day. And again, thank you for participating in the call. And thank you, Fred. We'll be talking to you again next week.
All right.
Take care.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.